The 1920s were an age of dramatic social and political change. For the first time, more Americans lived in cities than on farms. The nation's total wealth more than doubled between 1920 and 29, and this economic growth swept many Americans into affluent but unfamiliar consumer society. People from coast to coast bought the same goods, listened to the same music, and did the same dances, and even used the same slang. Many Americans were uncomfortable with this new urban, sometimes racy mass culture. In fact, for many, even most people in the United States, the 1920s brought more conflict than celebration. However, for a small handful of young people in the nation's big cities, the 1920s were roaring indeed. During the 1920s, some freedoms were expanded while others were curtailed. The 18th Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1919, had banned the manufacture and sale of alcohol. From then on, it was illegal to sell any alcoholic beverages with more than 0.5% alcohol. This drove the liquor trade underground, and people instead went to illegal speakeasies instead of ordinary bars where it was controlled by bootleggers, racketeers, and other organized crime figures such as Chicago's gangster, Al Capone.
The social and cultural features known as the Roaring Twenties began in leading metropolitan centers and spread widely in the aftermath of World War I. The spirit of the Roaring Twenties was marked by a general feeling of innovation associated with modern times and a break from traditions. The United States gained dominance in the world of finance. New technologies, especially automobiles, moving pictures, and radio, brought a modern feel to a large part of the population, such as automobiles and electricity in North America and Western Europe. The economy of the United States, which was successfully transitioned from a wartime economy to a peacetime economy, boomed. At first, the end of the wartime production caused a brief but deep recession, the post-World War I recession of 1919 to 1920. Quickly, however, the American and Canadian economies rebounded as returning soldiers re-entered the labor force and ammunition factories were retooled to produce consumer goods. Multiple industries, including the automotive industry, the film industry, the radio industry, and the chemical industry, skyrocketed during the 1920s. Before the war, cars were a luxury good, but in the 1920s were mass-produced and vehicles became more common throughout the United States. Radio became the first mass broadcasting medium. Radios were expensive, but their mode of entertainment proved revolutionary. Radio advertising became the grandstand for mass marketing. The cinema boomed, producing a new form of entertainment that virtually ended the old theatrical genre. Watching a film was cheap and accessible. Crowds surged into new downtown movie places and neighborhood theaters, as well as the rise of sound movies.
The Roaring Twenties, with all of its abundance and new freedoms, can certainly be described as a break from tradition in every sort. This break from tradition represented the ideals of the 1920s and shows that the first modern decade would become a guide for a more modern culture. Today, Americans pride themselves on a vast array of opportunities available in this country, as well as the freedom to be anything or to pursue their dreams. These freedoms and ideals of modern America, which have increasingly turned away from tradition, can easily be traced back to the 1920s. The Roaring Twenties were certainly groundbreaking in a wide variety of ways, accurately giving a glimpse into what would soon become modern America.